And today we're going to be dissecting a kidney and going over the anatomy of the kidney using a sheep's kidney. So just to start off with the external review, the kidney is called the kidney because, well, it's shaped like a kidney bean, and it's smooth, and covering the entire outside of the kidney is going to be the renal capsule. And while this layer is thin, it protects the kidney from damages and infections. And then surrounding this so-called renal capsule that we're going to find on the kidney is going to be a layer of fat, which is going to be called the adipose capsule, which cushions the kidney and holds it in place inside the body. So just to go over the renal capsule again, it's made out of connective tissues and keeps the structures that are inside of the kidney protected. Okay, next we're going to move on to the ileus or the ileum. This is going to be this structure right here. Got it right in there, where it's connected to the main part of the kidney, right here. So the ileus or the ileum is the indented part on the side of the kidney. I'm going to open it up here so you can see it better. This is where the renal artery, the renal vein, and the ureter pass through, and it's like the entry and exit point for everything coming in and also leaving the kidney. Okay, now moving to the inside of the kidney, we've got the renal cortex here. This is the lighter color of the two shades we're seeing here. Right on the outside, this is going to be the renal cortex. And the renal cortex is the outer layer of the kidney where the filtration of the blood starts. It contains structures like the renal corpuscles and convoluted tubules. And most of the blood vessels are also found here, blood vessels of the kidneys. And this is where the early steps of creating the urine happens, right here in the renal cortex. Okay, next we have the renal corpuscle, which is going to also be found inside of the cortex here. This is made up of the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. And then the blood is going to be filtered here, and it also separates the solutes, like glucose, salts, wastes, water, from the larger blood cells and the proteins that are going to stay in the bloodstream instead of it being excreted from the body. Okay, next we have the inner part of the kidney. The darker part here is going to be the renal medulla here. And this comes into function after filtration. The filtration moves into this part we're talking about right now, the renal medulla. And it contains the nephron loops, the descending and ascending, and the collecting ducts as well. The renal medulla is also the location that adjusts how much water and salt in the kidneys is going to be kept or removed and excreted from the body to balance the hydration levels and form concentrated urine instead of diluted urine. Okay, so right here I have the ureter. This tube here. It's going to be a tube that connects the kidney to the urinary bladder, and it moves urine by using like muscle contractions, and it pushes the urine down into the bladder from the kidney for storage until it's ready to be like voided or excreted from the body. Okay, next we're gonna have the renal artery, and mine's gonna be kind of a mess here, but it's going to be this thicker one right here. There's gonna be a hole in it because, well, mine is like all curved and twisted up and inside of each other. But the renal artery is going to bring oxygen-rich blood into the kidney straight from what we call the abdominal aorta. And this blood has wastes that the body has to filter out. And also, along with the nutrients and also oxygen, the kidney cells need to stay alive. And it enters the kidney through what we previously pointed out as the ileum or the ileus here. Okay, next I've got the renal vein here. Right there. And the renal vein is a exit for blood, not urine, because we would use the ureter for that. The renal vein here. So after the blood has been filtered out of the kidney, the cleaned blood with the removed waste leaves the kidney through what we call the renal vein, and it drains into the inferior vena cava, which carries blood back towards the heart. Okay, next we have the renal pyramids here. I poked some holes in them so they're easier to see the separation we got here. So the renal pyramids are going to be triangular sections. It's not seen the best on this kidney. They're going to be triangular sections found in the renal medulla, which is the darker section we pointed out earlier. And it's made up out of tubules and collecting ducts. And the renal pyramids filtrate towards the tips of the pyramid, which we're going to get to in a bit, but they're called renal papilla. And so the pyramids are responsible for transporting the filtrate towards the tips, while also reabsorbing more water and working on concentrating the diluted urine farther while it makes its process towards exiting the ureter. Okay, and then moving to the renal papilla, that's going to be the pointed tip, which is towards the renal pelvis. The base is going to be towards the renal cortex, which is out here. So the tip of the pyramid, and this is the area where the urine exits the renal pyramids after it's been concentrated and processed, and then it's going to drain into the minor calyx. Okay, next we have the renal pelvis here. It's going to be the funnel-shaped place inside of this kidney, and it's going to collect all of the urine from the major calyxes. So, And it also is the location that holds all of the urine before it drains into the ureter. I'm also going to point this out here too. If you see this hole, use my probe to better. You see this hole here? This is actually the opening to the ureter here. Just thought that was something cool. Okay, next we have the renal lobe. So the renal lobe is going to be made out of one renal pyramid. The I would say like overlying renal cortex, and then a portion of the renal columns on either side. And these work to filter blood and produce urine. So it's going to be here. That would be a renal lobe here. Next here we have the minor calyx. I stuck my probe in it so it's easier to point out here. Right here, right here. And this is going to be they call it like a cup-like structure. And it collects urine from one singular renal papilla. While there's multiple minor calyxes, each one only serves one pyramid, one papilla. And this, yes, it collects urine from the renal papilla. And then last but not least, today we have the major calyx. It's right here. Right here. So this is going to be the larger one of the two, and it's going to be a binding of several of minor calyxes, which is what's going to form the major calyx. And it serves as a larger area for collection of urine, and this is going to channel the urine towards the renal pelvis we have that I pointed out earlier. And that is all.